So today let's do practice some questions from the chapter combustion and flame. All right now. Okay, I'm going to write down the names of some of the gases. You have to tell me which one of them is not used in combustion. Okay, now question is which one of these is not used in combustion? And the options are hydrogen. Option number B is oxygen. C is nitrogen. And option number D is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. Yes, what's the answer, guys, to this question?
Okay, but one more only to
Or repeat again. What were you saying?
Carbon hydroxide.
Carbon hydroxide.
No, carbon dioxide.
Okay. Chakrika, what were you saying? Gauri, Abdullah.
sir,
Nitrogen.
one more.
Nitrogen.
Nitrogen? No. It's carbon dioxide actually. Carbon dioxide is not used in combustion. Okay, now? Getting it now? So gases like oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, they are used in combustion. Getting it now? They will be used in combustion. Like oxygen is a gas that supports combustion. We know that. Okay, now? Oxygen supports combustion. But the gas carbon dioxide, it will be extinguishing the fire. It extinguishes the process of combustion. It stops combustion. So how can it be used? Okay. Yes, Khadija, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Yes, I'm also good. Okay. You guys tell me. Next question is that temperature at which the substance burns. What do we call that?
Ignition temperature.
Okay. What about others?
Ignition temperature.
That is
Ignition temperature.
ignition temperature. Very good. How do we define ignition temperature? It's the
The lowest.
Hmm.
The lowest heat a substance can give off fire.
No,
I don't know.
no.
at
May continue. One of you.
the lowest temperature at which a substance catches fire is called ignition temperature.
Ignition temperature. Okay. So like an ideal fuel, it should have a low ignition temperature or should have a high ignition temperature.
It
And
should have
Mhm. Yes,
low.
it should have a low ignition temperature, right? Okay, but it's better to say that it should have a moderate low ignition temperature. Neither it should be too low, neither it should be too high. If it were to be it should not have an ignition temperature equal to the room temperature, equal to the normal room temperature. Otherwise, that object would be catching fire. Okay, no? Okay. Out of the following, you guys tell me. I'm writing down some options here. Like you have natural gas. We have natural gas. We have wind energy. Then we have tidal energy. And then we have mechanical energy. Let's just take nuclear energy. Okay. Nuclear energy. So which one of them is a non-renewable source of energy out of these? Which one of them is a non-renewable source of energy, which you can't renew? Or
Nuclear
they can be multiple answers to this question. There can be more than one answer.
Wind.
natural gas and nuclear energy.
Okay. What is
Wind energy and Thailand, the third one, and fourth one.
no? Actually, the question is which one of them is a non-renewable? Okay, no, non-renewable source of energy.
So
nuclear
natural gas.
energy.
You're saying nuclear energy and natural. You're saying natural gas, got you.
Yeah.
Natural gas and nuclear energy.
Okay. Okay, Alif. What about Chakrika? Khadija, you guys? Abdullah?
So nuclear energy and
energy.
Okay. Chakrika, you repeat. Mhm.
Learnivio.
Okay, for those of you who are answering natural gas and nuclear energy, their answers are correct. Okay, na? Because both of them are non-renewable source of energy. Getting it now? While wind energy plus tidal energy, they are renewable sources of energy as well. Okay, na? Okay, who will explain the process of carbonization? Okay, let's all of you one by one explain what is carbonization. In the chapter, we have learned about what is carbonization. Yes. Yeah, one of you start quickly answer this question, guys. Explain the carbonization process.
Sir, it is a process where the organic substances gradually form into carbon
Okay, very good. And others?
or containing residue.
Okay, others also answer this quickly. Define carbonization.
It's a process in which a fuel is heated without air to leave carbon.
No, that's a different thing. That's a completely different thing.
Oh, wait.
Gauri, Aleph.
Sir, can I tell?
Yeah, sure.
Carbonization is heating organic material with little oxygen to create carbon products like charcoal.
To protect. No,
Sir,
that's not exactly the thing. Yes.
the slow process of conversion of dead vegetation and all to coal.
To
Is it
carbon.
for yeah?
To carbon basically. So it's the process of conversion of the organic waste. Okay, now organic waste from the plant and from plant basically into carbon is called as carbonization. Getting it? And that is what the carbonization process is. Okay. Also, the process of carbonization can be done manually also. Although we have discussed in terms of like it happens naturally, but it can be done in the lab also. Getting it now? In the case of coal, it's the slow process of conversion of the dead plants into coal over the course of millions of years, right? And this process occurred when layers of mud and plant material started to build up, thereby the high amount of pressure and heat build up under the ground, and it resulted into the formation of coal, a formation of carbon. Okay. Okay, you guys tell me that what will I say that if I have the 1 kilogram of a fuel is being burned, it's being completely burned, okay, na? And some amount of heat energy is produced. So the amount of heat energy produced upon complete combustion of 1 kilogram of fuel, what do we call that?
Sir, can you repeat the question?
I'm writing the question, okay, na? The amount of heat energy given out on complete combustion of 1 kilogram of fuel. What do we call that? Do we call that as the heat value? Yeah, or do we call that as significant value?
Sir,
Yeah.
nothing.
Or do we call that as calorific value?
Sir, calorific value.
Okay, others?
Sir, calorific value.
Sir,
Everyone?
calorific value.
Exactly. That is the calorific value. Okay, na? Very good. Okay, you guys have learned about the different zones of the candle right now. There are different
Yes,
zones
sir.
in the candle flame. Okay. You have the black one, you have the yellow one, and then you have the blue one, right? Okay. So out of the different zones of the candle flame, you guys tell me which one is the zone of partial combustion?
The middle zone.
Okay, what about others?
Where's the middle zone?
Middle.
That is middle zone. So partial combustion takes place in the middle zone. Okay, good. Okay, which is the luminous zone of the candle flame?
The outermost.
Sir,
Luminous
middle
zone.
zone.
It's the
No,
middle.
it's the middle zone.
Luminous zone is the middle zone. Keep that in mind. Okay, na? It's the middle zone. Okay. A goldsmith will be preferably using which zone of the candle flame?
Outermost.
Sir, can you repeat?
A goldsmith, okay, he will be preferably using which zone of the candle flame to heat different objects?
Innermost.
Why
Sir,
innermost?
outermost.
Outermost. Outermost zone of the candle flame is hottest. Why is it hottest? Because
It has a lot of oxygen, so combustion takes place.
so it has maximum supply of oxygen. Okay, na? So there is a maximum supply of oxygen to this area of the flame. Okay, na? So thereby complete combustion will be taking place here. Okay, na? Okay, you guys tell me which zone is also called as the non-luminous zone of the candle flame.
The innermost zone.
Outermost.
Outermost, actually. Okay, now. So the non-luminous zone is the outermost zone, actually. Getting it, guys? Okay. That is one thing. Also, as we'll be moving from the inner towards the outer zone, the temperature will be decreasing or increasing.
Sir, can you
As
repeat?
as you will be moving from the inner zone towards the outer zone. This is the inner zone. Okay, which we also know that this is the coldest zone of the candle flame. The innermost zone is, right? So as we move from the innermost zone towards the outermost zone, the temperature will be increasing or will it be decreasing?
It will be increasing.
Increasing.
It will be increasing. Very good. Okay, now. So that is the thing. Okay, you guys also answer to me. What do we call those substances that easily catches fire? What is the term used for those substances that easily catches fire?
The inflammable substances.
Yeah, or either inflammable or combustible substances, right?
Yes.
Okay, no? Good. Okay, I'm writing down names of some of the gases. Okay, no? Like you have NH3, you have like ammonia, you have hydrogen, you have carbon dioxide, and you have oxygen. Out of this, which gas will control the fire?
Oxygen.
Control the fire, control the fire.
Carbon dioxide.
Others, same or different answer.
Sir, can you repeat the question?
Which one of these gas will control the fire?
Like extinguish.
Yeah, control here means like extinguish it.
CO2.
CO2.
That is carbon dioxide, undoubtedly. Good. Now tell me, what does the acid rain contain?
A sulfuric dioxide and nitro oxide.
Oxides of nitrogen and oxides of sulfur are present in it. Okay. Okay. Name a poisonous gas. Name a poisonous gas which will be produced when fuel is not burned properly. When it is burned in incomplete, in absence of oxygen or in limited supply of oxygen.
Carbon monoxide.
Carbon monoxide.
Carbon monoxide. Okay, no? And we know it has got higher affinity towards the hemoglobin. Okay, that is the thing. Okay, what are the essential requirements for combustion to take place? What are the essential requirements for combustion?
Presence of oxygen.
Okay, first and foremost, for combustion to take place, what are the necessary conditions you are saying? Oxygen. Good. And
Sir, it should be the combustible substance.
basically, it should be a fuel. Right now, fuel is a combustible substance. So you should be having a fuel. And what else?
Sir, fire.
CO2.
What are you saying, Abdullah?
I think, sir. I think the answer
Okay.
is
Yes, there's one important thing that is missing here. Roni, Khadija, Chakrika, Aleph.
Sir, fire.
Fire, or you should be saying heat actually, or ignition temperature. Okay, now the most important thing. Ignition temperature is required. Basically, heat is required here, or as you're saying, fire. Okay, now so combustion will not take place if any one of these things is not available there. These are the three elements that are required, and these three are also referred to as the fire triangle. These three elements, fuel, oxygen, and ignition temperature, they are referred to as the fire triangle. If any of these elements are not available, so combustion will not occur. Hence there will be no fire. Okay. You guys also answered this question that why some of the fuel does not give a light upon burning, give flame upon burning. Yes, why some of the fuel does not give flame upon burning? What is the reason behind that? Yes. Guys, you getting my question now?
Sir, can you repeat?
My question is that why some of the fuels upon burning does not give a flame? Why some
Sir,
of the fuels? Yeah.
it has a high ignition temperature.
No, that's obviously not the reason. Yeah. Gauri, Chakrika, Abdullah, Khadija, Roni, you guys. Should I repeat the question? The question was why some of the fuel upon burning does not give a flame. Like coal upon burning, it does not give a flame. What is the reason behind that?
Because of vaporize.
Because of
Vaporize.
because it does not vaporize. Okay, na? Because it is not a volatile fuel. Only the volatile fuel, basically fuels which upon being heated turns into the vapors, will give a flame. Getting it, guys? For example, molten wax. For example, you have petrol, you have kerosene oil, diesel. So vaporization is the key point here. The substance needs to vaporize in order to give a flame. That is the reason. Okay, now? Okay. You guys answer some of the questions from the previous chapters, like from the chapter crop rotation and management. You guys tell me, or what do we call that procedure of transferring the seedlings from the nursery to the field? I mean to say, the transfer of seedlings from nursery to the fields. What do we call that as? Do we call that as crop rotation? Yeah. Or do we call that as broadcasting? Broadcasting? Or do we call that as transplantation?
So transplantation.
That is transplantation indeed. Okay, no, very good. Okay, you guys tell me that there are different types of coals based upon their quality. So which kind of coal has the highest quality? Yeah, which has the highest carbon content in it? Question is, which coal is of highest quality? You guys know that while we were doing the chapter, we learned about different kind of coals like anthracite, bituminous, subbituminous, peat, lignite. Out of that, there was a coal. One of the coal was of highest quality.
Anthracite or
Others also answer this. Guess what happened, Chakrika?
Same, sir.
Same? Good. So that is anthracite. It contains about 85 to 90, 95 or 96% of carbon is present in it. Okay, na? So thereby it will be producing maximum heat out of all the different coal we have. Okay, na? That is one thing. Okay, answer some other questions also. Like you guys tell me that I am writing down the name of some of the organisms here. We have learned the chapter conservation of plants and animals, right? So there are animals like dodo. You guys might be aware of the bird, dodo bird,
Yes,
blue,
sir.
blue whale, and you have cheetah, and let's take Oliver Ridley turtle. Oliver Ridley turtle. Okay, this is column number A, and this is column number B. You have to match them. Okay, now you have to match them appropriately. So in column number B, let's say you have extinct, endangered, endangered, or vulnerable, or let's say it is found in a sanctuary in the Odisha by the name of Gahir Mata Sanctuary, if I'm not wrong. Gahir Mata Sanctuary, and it is in Odisha. Yeah. Yes. Let's start with the first one. Yes. Dodo, what do you guys think?
Sir, extinct.
Sir, extinct.
Exactly. So Dodo is now extinct. Very good. Okay, what about blue whale?
Endangered.
Endangered.
Endangered. Okay, good. Blue whale is endangered. Very good. What about cheetah?
Vulnerable.
Fourth one.
Sir, Odisha.
Okay, Gahir Mata Sanctuary. Are cheetah present in Gahir Mata Sanctuary? I think, yeah, they are present there. Okay, na Gahir Mata Sanctuary, cheetah is present there. Getting it now? As of now, cheetah is neither vulnerable nor endangered. Okay, now, so cheetah is there. Okay, you might have heard of the Oliver Ridley turtle. Have you guys heard of this turtle?
No, sir.
Okay, this is actually vulnerable species of an organism. Okay, now, this is a vulnerable.
Sir,
Getting it
can
now?
you show the picture of it?
This turtle.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see we can if this is available here. Let me show. Olive Ridley turtle. This turtle I'm talking about. Okay, now getting it. Okay. By the way, there's an important correction here. Actually, the thing is now this olive Ridley turtle, not Oliver, it's olive Ridley turtle. It is actually found in the Gahir Mata Sanctuary in Odisha. There are different places in India where this turtle is found. Getting it, guys? Okay, no. Also, this organism is neither vulnerable nor endangered. Okay, and this will get good number of olive Ridley turtle that are found. It is found in Andaman and Nicobar Islands also. Okay, it is found in the coast of the Gujarat. It is found in the Odisha. Okay, and it is found in the Lakshadweep Islands also. An important correction is required here. So this is the right answer to this. While cheetah, it could be vulnerable. Okay. All
Okay,
right.
sir.
You guys would like to do some more questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let us say that in the case of reproduction chapter, that chapter is there for you guys now. Like for some of you, it is there. So reproduction by budding will take place in which organism? Reproduction by budding will take place. Will it take place in amoeba? Will it take place in yeast? Will it take place in the hydra? Or will it take place in the organism like bacteria?
Sir, Hydra
There can be multiple answers to this question. Keep that in
and
mind.
yeast.
Hydra and yeast. What about others?
Sir, same.
Same.
Yeast.
Yeast is correct, but hydra is also correct. Okay, now both of them does reproduction by budding. Okay, you guys tell me that we have done the chapter chemical effects of electric current also. I have one question from that chapter also. Do tell me for the formation or like for a given liquid to be an electrolyte, what criteria it must fulfill to be an electrolyte? What criteria must be fulfilled by a given liquid to be an electrolyte? Yes. You have two given samples, you have two given liquids. You have a distilled water or you have mud water. Which one of them is an electrolyte here?
Distilled.
Mud water.
It's the mud water. Okay, for those of you who are saying distilled water, correct your answer. It is mud water, that is a electrolyte. But why is it electrolyte?
Because, sir, it has some impurities in it.
Impurities in it. But
Yeah.
more technically, the answer should be that it will break up into ions when electricity will pass through it. Okay, now it will break into the positive and the negative ions. Getting, guys? Namely the cat and the anions. That's why this is a electrolyte. Got this now? Okay. Do tell me that what are the three essential? I mean to say that on what principle, like how will a carbon dioxide fire extinguisher be working? How does a carbon dioxide fire extinguisher works? What is the mechanism of its working?
It cuts off the continuous supply of oxygen.
Okay. How exactly does it does so?
It's an electric equipment.
Mhm.
Sir, carbon dioxide like forms a blanket type of like cover on the fire, which what we call which cut off the supply of oxygen.
Okay. Anyone else would like to add any point in this? Shakrika, Roni, you guys have been silent for a while. Aleph, yes.
It contains sodium bicarbonate.
I'm not asking about what it contains. I'm just asking like how does it basically turn off the fire?
Sir,
Yes, Aleph.
if we extinguish the fire with carbon dioxide, the oxygen will come out, move away, and carbon dioxide will take the place in the base of the fire. Then it will extinguish.
You have answered. You have made a very good point here. The thing is that carbon dioxide gas is heavier as compared to oxygen. It is heavier as compared to oxygen. So earlier, let's say that these were the molecules of oxygen that were present around the fire. These were the molecules of oxygen. Okay, now. But as soon as you sprayed carbon dioxide over it, so carbon dioxide being heavier, it displaces the oxygen from here. So oxygen will be moving away from here, as Aleph said. So oxygen will be moving away from here, and as Gauri said, that carbon dioxide will form a blanket-like layer over here. It will form a blanket-like layer over the fire, and hence will cut off the supply of oxygen to the fire. In this manner, it will be working. Okay, but let's say the fire was due to an electrical short circuit. Let's say the fire is due to an electrical short circuit. So what will you preferably choosing to extinguish the fire? Will you be choosing this same carbon dioxide fire extinguisher, or will you use water or sand?
Carbon dioxide.
Okay, why is it so?
Because it is heavier than fire.
No, I'm saying the cause of the fire is an electrical short circuit.
Sir, because like water is a good conductor, not good, but yeah, it can conduct electricity.
It can conduct electricity. Okay, now so thereby the problem will worsen further. That is the thing. Okay, now. Okay, so we have practiced few questions. Now let's continue with the chapter which we're doing in the batch. Okay, now. Or also, like, if you guys have any doubts from any chapters, you guys can tell. Okay, now. So in the first part of the class, we can take up, we can do the doubts. Okay, now. Okay, so in the previous class, guys, we were learning about the glands. Okay, now we did learn what are the two types of glands in the body. Yeah, what are the two types of glands present in the human body? Yes. Anyone? Anyone who have revised the previous class? There were two type of glands. One is endocrine, another
Sir,
one was
one is
Endocrine.
exocrine, something like that.
it's endocrine and exocrine. Okay, now there are two types of glands basically. The third one is not important, so we are not discussing that. The mixed glands. So exocrine glands are there and endocrine glands are there. We learned that we have several examples like the tear gland, like the salivary gland, like the mammary gland, liver, pancreas, etc. all of them would be secreting their secretions either onto the surface of the body or to a particular area. Okay, now, and they will be secreting the secretions via a tube-like structure. Okay, but in the case of endocrine glands, they were secreting the secretions directly into the blood, and their secretions are normally the hormones. Normally, they will be secreting hormones. Okay, now, so we used a term for the endocrine glands since they had no tube-like structure or duct-like structure in them, so they were also called as ductless gland. Remember that endocrine glands
Yes,
are
sir.
also called as ductless glands. Okay, now let's understand the role of the hormone. In fact, we did learn about this. What is the target site here? What is the term target site here?
It's the
We did
place
learn
where the hormones have to reach a particular place to make a
exactly
particular.
a particular place in the body where the hormones will be required. So that will be the site, target site. Okay, now very good. Okay. Now today we are going to learn about the reproductive phase of life in the humans. Okay, now. Now talking about the reproductive phase in the humans, it is different in the males and females. While in the females, the reproductive phase will end after a certain age in their life, but in the case of males, it will continue. It continues. So the reproductive phase differs in the case of male and the female body, primarily because of the way the hormones work. Okay, like what do we know in the case of the in the case of females? When does the reproductive phase begin? When does the menstrual cycle begin?
Sir, 8 to 12?
10 to 12 actually.
Yeah, 10 to 12.
Okay, now so it begins from the age of 10 to 12 years and will be continuing till the age of 45 to 50 years. Right now, that is the thing. Also, we get to see that the first menstrual cycle will occur once during the puberty. Okay, now so that will be called as menarche. I'm going to write down all these terms. Right now, I'm just discussing the things. So reproductive phase in the case of females starts by the age of 10, 11 or 12 years and it will continue till the age of 45 to 50 years. What exactly do we mean by this? So actually during this time period, during this span, the production of the female sex cells at the ovum will be taking place. Once the women reach the age of 45 to 50 years, they can no longer bear babies. Why? Because the release of ovum stops. Okay, na? That is the thing. So the ability of production of gametes in humans lasts until certain time period only, but it varies between the male and the female. Getting it, guys? It will be varying between the male and the female. While in the case of females, I have said that after a certain age in their life, it stops, while the reproductive phase of man does not stop. The reproductive phase of man does not stop. It lasts forever because the thing is the like in the case of the females, the hormone production will decrease by age. The hormone production will increase by age, like what we know that hormones like progesterone, they are responsible for the development and maintenance of the female reproductive organ. And same is in the case of the male, that the hormone like testosterone is responsible for maintaining and regulating the function of the male reproductive organs. Okay, now so as in the case of the females, the ability of the hormone producing glands decreases with time. So thereby the reproductive phase will end by the age of 50 in them. Okay, now that is the case. But in the case of the male, it does not end. It kind of lasts forever because the ability of the hormone producing glands have not stopped. Okay. So in the case of females, what I've said that when they hit the when they reach the age of puberty, that is from the age of 12 to 10 to 12 years. So in them, the reproductive phase starts at puberty, that is 10 to 12 years, and lasts up to the age of 45 to 50 years. 45 to 50 years of age. Okay. So basically what happens when they are in the age of when puberty starts in them, that is at the age of 10 to 12 years. So basically the ovary will start production of ova or ovum. Ova or ovum. So the production starts further, the ova or the ovum, it starts to get mature. So when females hit the age of puberty, ovary would be releasing the ovum, which will start to mature. That is one thing. Also, we know that each month, one of the ovaries will release a mature ovum. About every 28 to 30 days, one ovum is released from one of the ovary. All of you guys can recall these concepts from the previous classes. For those of you who have learned the chapter reproduction in organisms, right? So each month, one ovum is released from either of the ovary. How many ovary are there? 1, 2, 3. How many ovary is there? Yes?
2.
1.
2 ovaries are there, no? A pair of ovary is there. Okay, no? So
So you
each
said,
month, yeah?
no, sir, I thought how many eggs? Oh, so
Okay.
I said,
Okay, no, sure. So each month, basically, 28 to 30 days. 28 to 30 days. Okay. So hope that much is clear so far. Furthermore, we know that when the ovum is released, so thereby the wall of the uterus at that time prepares itself. In case fertilization happens, so what we have learned in that case, say that this is ovary. Okay. And when the ovum will be released, let's say that ovum has been released. And let's say ovum has released this part, this part is called as, what do we call this part? This is, yes, you guys forgot about this. That is fallopian tube or oviduct, no? Yes.
Fallopian tube.
Also called as oviduct. So if ovum has reached here, and also if the sperm has reached there, so the fertilization will take place here if the sperm has also reached there. So in case if the fertilization has taken place, the ovum will be further multiplying. The zygote that is formed, it will multiply further and it will embed into the wall of the uterus. Okay, now. But let's say if the sperm does not reaches here and if the egg is not fertilized there, so then also the wall of the uterus would have become thicker. Basically, what happens, whether the fertilization takes place or whether the fertilization of the ovum does not take place, in both the situation, the wall of the uterus will become thicker. It will become thicker. Why? Why does the wall of the uterus become thicker? Yes. Alif, Chakrika, Gauri. Yeah,
so
Khadija.
Yes, sir.
Why
Sir,
does
can you
the
repeat?
why does the wall of the uterus become thicker? Whenever ovum is released, the wall becomes thicker.
To accompany the sperm?
No,
Like,
not to accompany
for
the sperm. No,
no, like for it to go easily.
no, that's not the thing.
because the uterus is preparing itself to get fertilized.
Repeat again.
It is because the uterus is preparing itself to get fertilized. So that if
Uterus.
it is, then it can be useful as nutrients to the zygote. But if it doesn't get fertilized, then it's gonna lead to menstruation.
Good. Basically, the thing is that the wall of the uterus at that time, when the egg is released, it becomes thicker so that it will be holding that fertilized egg. In case the fertilization has occurred, and thereby the egg can develop further and get nutrition from the placenta and the umbilical cord from the uterus. Right now, that is the reason. But what if the ovum has not been fertilized? So thereby what will happen, it will result in bleeding. When the fertilization does not take place, so thereby the lining of the uterus, it will break, it will shed. It will shed, plus the egg is going to die. Okay, na? And there's a lot of blood in this, lots of blood, lots of muscle tissues are there. Okay, na? So when the fertilization does not take place, so this lining will break, and the egg, blood, and this lining will come from, will fall down basically in the form of the blood. So that will lead to bleeding in the females, and that is called as menstruation. Getting it, guys? Okay, na? And when the first menstrual flow, when the first bleeding occurs at the age of puberty, that is called as menarche. That is called as menarche. Getting it, guys? So talking about menstruation, what we have learned, let me just sum up the different things what we have learned so far. So the thing is that when, or let us understand from this thing, the wall of the uterus, it thickens, the wall of the uterus thickens when the egg is released. When the egg is released. Okay. The wall of the uterus thickens when the egg is released to hold the fertilized egg, to hold the fertilized egg. Okay. Fertilized egg. In case fertilization happens. In case fertilization happens. But if the fertilization does not happen, but if fertilization does not occur, then the lining, that thick lining, it sheds away. Okay, and that the thick lining will shed. Then the lining sheds along with dead egg and the blood vessels. And because of this, it will lead to bleeding in the woman. So this leads to bleeding. Okay, na? And this leads to bleeding, and this whole thing is called as menstruation. Okay, na? This leads to bleeding, or also this is called as menstruation. And when this will be beginning, when the first bleeding occurs, that is called as menarche. That is the beginning of the menstrual cycle. Okay, na? So the first flow, the first bleeding is called menarche. Okay, so when this is going to begin, yeah, menarche in the woman will begin around the age of 10 to 12. Getting it can vary in some women also. Okay, na? It usually occurs between the age of 10 to 12. In some, it can begin early, like by the age of 9, or in some, it can begin by the age of 13 or 14. Getting it, na? But nonetheless, usually we say the number is age is 10 to 12 years. Okay, now? So at the age of 10 to 12, while in some case it can be 9, or some can 13 or 14 also. Okay. Furthermore, we have another term called as menopause. Menopause. So when the menstrual cycle in them will stop, when the menstrual flow stops, that will be called as menopause. So when menstrual flow stops, and it stops by the age of 45 to 50 years in them. When they reach the age of 45 to 50 years, menstrual flow stops. Okay, now that is the thing. Now, all this cycle of menstrual flow that occurs in them every 28 to 30 days now, this whole menstrual cycle that is occurring them, it is because of the female hormones in them. It is because of the female hormones. Keep that thing in mind. So what are the female hormones? Can you guys recall the female hormones?
Progesterone and estrogen.
Progesterone and estrogen. Okay, no, very good. Okay, no? So that is the thing. Okay, estrogen and progesterone will be basically responsible for the menstrual cycle. And if their secretions will be fluctuating, if the secretions will either increase too much or will decrease too much, so thereby the menstrual flow in them will be disturbed. Okay. That is the thing. And which organ in the female reproductive system produces estrogen and progesterone? They are produced by, are they produced by fallopian tube or the ovaries? They are produced by the
Ovary.
ovary, exactly. And their secretions, the amount in which they will be secreted, is controlled by the master gland. Which is the master gland in the body? That's the, let me give a hint, that starts with P. And it is in the brain. I have given so much of hint.
Testosterone.
No. Anyone else?
So can you repeat?
Which gland, also called as master gland, will be controlling the,
Pituitary gland.
exactly. Okay, na? So pituitary gland secretes the amount of the flow of, amount of the release of hormones like progesterone and progesterone. Okay, na? In fact, we did learn in the previous class also, like this pituitary gland will be controlling the secretions of hormones by different glands. How much of adrenaline has to be secreted, that is decided by the pituitary gland. How much of testosterone, how much of progesterone and progesterone has to be secreted, all of that is decided by the pituitary gland. So keep that thing in mind. Okay, so that's why this is also called as the master gland. So this much should be clear to everyone. I think you guys have understood the, so far you have understood it now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, next we're going to learn about the determination of the sex of the baby. Okay, like how does the sex of the baby is determined? Whether it is going to be the male child or female child, on what factor it depends. Okay, now actually the whole thing depends upon the type of chromosome that the sperm will be carrying. Okay, now it will actually depending upon the male parent. Getting it, guys? Let me just first of all put some important facts in front of you guys. Then we are going to continue this. Okay, now we know that there are about 23 pairs of chromosomes present inside the nucleus of every human cells, right? For those of you who are not familiar with this term chromosome, please let me know.
Sir,
Okay, let's learn about chromosome first. So talking about chromosomes, so when we look at the nucleus, so when we will be looking at the nucleus of any human cell or in fact any other organisms, there will be some thread-like structure in them. There will be some thread-like structure present in them. Okay, na? And that contains the DNA. Okay, na? Like let me just draw an image here. Say for example, this is a cell and this is the nucleus, let us say. Okay, that is the nucleus. Now inside the nucleus we have nucleolus. Inside the nucleus we have nucleolus. Have you guys do you guys know about that? We have nucleolus inside
yes,
that.
sir.
Okay, let me just draw a 3D diagram of this. That will give you a better clarity of what I'm actually talking about. So see that. See if you can draw a 3D diagram here. Like this. So say that you have okay. Now I want you guys to pay close attention to this. Okay, now right now I'm trying to explain you a 3D diagram of a nucleus. I have taken it out and this is an opened section of a nucleus, let us say. This whole thing is like I have cut a piece out of the nucleus. Okay, now I have taken a small fragment out of the nucleus to show you the inside of the nucleus. Getting the diagram so far or getting confused in it?
Getting it.
Getting it? Very good. Now inside, when we look inside the nucleus, there are some thread-like structures like this. These are the thread-like structures that are present in it. Okay, now thread-like structures as we can see here. Okay, now. So these thread-like structures that are present inside the nucleus, they are called as chromosomes. They are chromosomes. Okay, na? So this whole thing here is the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, we have the chromosome. So what about this structure here? That is called as nucleolus. Nucleolus. Okay, na? So this is a cell. This is the nucleus. This is a zoomed diagram of a nucleus. Inside the nucleus, we have another structure called as nucleolus. But anyways, the important thing to be understood is the chromosome. Okay, na? So chromosome, this is a thread-like structure. How does it exactly look like? It will be looking like this. It kind of looks like this. This is a close-up view of this thread-like structure here. So humans have about 23 pairs of these chromosomes. How many pairs of chromosomes are there? There are about 23 pairs of chromosomes in the human body. Getting it now? Keep that in mind. So that makes up about 46 chromosomes. That makes about 46 chromosomes in each cell. So say I had taken this, like this is a muscle cell. I have taken a cell out of the muscles. So in the muscle cells, what will I find? I will find that there will be exactly 23 pairs of these chromosomes. 23 pairs of chromosomes, or either basically it's 46 in number. So whether I look at the cell of the muscle, whether I look at the cell of the bone, the hair, every organ in the body, the number of chromosomes in them will be 46. Getting it, everyone? Okay, no? That is one thing. But there will be an exception to it. We are going to learn about it. Okay, no? So every cell in the human body have 23 pairs of chromosomes except for the sperm and the ovum. Except for the sperm and ovum. Keep that in mind. Okay, now? That is one thing. Now further, when we look at this 23 pair of chromosomes, it has been further divided in this manner. Do tell me, so far, is everything clear to everyone? So far, have you
Yes,
guys
sir.
understood this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now see that out of the 23 pair of chromosomes, 23 pairs of chromosomes, we divide it into two parts. 22 pairs and then one pair. 22 pair and one pair. Okay. So 22 pairs of chromosomes are called as autosomes. What do we call them? We call them as autosomes. AUTOSOMES. They are autosomes, which will be looking same in both the male and female. Which will be looking same in both the male and female. So if I were to take 22 pairs of chromosomes from a male cell and from a female cell, they will be looking exactly identical to each other. Getting this now? Okay. So they look same in both, males and females. Now, when we talk about the one pair that is left here, that is called as the sex hormone. This is the sex hormone. Okay, now. So this one pair called as sex hormone will be differing between the male and female. Okay, now. So females will be having exactly 2 copies of the chromosome here. By the way, like chromosome is also of like it has been like 2 of these chromosomes that we're going to study here now. They are called as they are X and Y chromosomes. We call them as X and Y chromosomes. Okay, now. So one pair of chromosomes, they are 6 chromosomes. They are X and Y chromosomes. X and Y chromosomes. Okay. Now talking about the as we know that, as I will say that every cell in the body will contain 23 pairs of chromosomes. Every cell will contain 23 pairs of chromosomes. But when we talk about the male and female gametes, so the gametes will contain only one set of chromosome. That will be either X or Y. That will be either X or Y. Getting it, guys? What I'm trying to say here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is the one pair of the chromosome which will be differing between the male. So it is different in males and females. It will be different in males and females. While in the case of autosomes, we have learned they are same. They are identical. They look same to each other. Okay, now. Furthermore, when we look at the male sex cell here, what is the male sex cell? That's the sperm. So males have only one chromosome in it, that is X and Y. Males have only one X and Y chromosomes. Getting it now? So males have one X and one Y chromosome. Y chromosome. That is one thing. Furthermore, when we look at the female sex cell, what is the female sex cell?
Ovum.
Ovum, good. So the thing is that the female sex cells have two copies of the X chromosome. Have two copies of the X chromosomes. So females have two copies of X chromosome. Okay. Now I want all of you to pay attention to this thing right now. What we have learned so far, that there are 23 pairs of chromosomes in the human body. 22 pairs are called as autosomes because they look same to each other and they don't have anything to do with the sex of the person. Okay. They will be responsible for bearing the different characters in the body apart from the gender. Okay, no? So they don't have any role to play in the gender of the person or the baby that will be born. When we look at the one pair, it is called as the sex hormones and they are X and Y chromosomes. It will be different in the male and female. How is it so? In the male, what we have seen that they will be either having X or either having the Y chromosomes. They will be having X and Y chromosomes. While mother, their chromosomes are both X. Getting it so far now? Got this now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, furthermore, when the reproduction takes place between the male and the female parent, so thereby the sperm will be carrying either X or either Y chromosome. Getting it, guys? The sperm will be carrying either X or Y chromosomes. Do we have time left? Okay, let me see if we can cover this. Okay, now. So during reproduction, what happens? During the reproduction, say that mother is there and there's the father. You guys just stay for 1 or 2 minutes extra. Okay, now. So mother, the type of chromosome present in the mother is XX, and the type of chromosome present in the father is? Yes, that is?
XY.
XY.
XY. Okay. Now talking about the female sex cell, that is the egg or the ovum. So it will contain half the chromosome on it. Okay, now? So this will contain X, this will also contain X. Getting it? And the sperm will either contain X or will either contain Y in it. Okay. Now here's the important thing. Now, if the egg that has been released by the ovary, it is containing X chromosome, whether this egg is released, whether this egg is released, both of them will be containing the same chromosome now. So it doesn't make any difference here. Let me tell you why. If the egg coming from the ovary is having X chromosome, and if the sperm coming from the male parent is having X chromosome, so they are going to fuse together and they will result in the formation of egg and sperm fuses together to form. Yes, you guys forgot about this?
XX.
Zygote? No, first of all, tell me this.
Zygote. Sorry.
Yeah, no issue. Okay, now, and that is XX basically. We'll be having this chromosome XX in it. Okay, now. So when the chromosome have XX in it, when the zygote has XX chromosome in it, so thereby is it going to be a female or male?
Female.
Of course, it's going to be female now. So in that manner, the female baby is going to be born. Understood this, guys? Now take this into consideration, that if the sperm coming from the male parent is having Y chromosome in it, and of course the egg, the ovum will always have X chromosome. So thereby the zygote that will be forming will have the chromosome XY now. Exactly. So in that case, the male baby will be formed. The father has the XY chromosome, so the child will also be having the same type of chromosomes. That is, male baby is formed. Did you guys understood this? How the determination of
sir.
sex takes place in the humans?
Yes.
Okay, na? Okay. So who is responsible for the gender of the child? You guys tell me. Isn't it the father?
Yes, sir.
Because the sperm of the father decides if it's carrying X chromosome, so the baby is going to be a female. But if it's carrying Y chromosome, the baby is going to be a male child. Okay, but in society, like in some backward areas, and in the earlier days, when education didn't reach the different corners of the world, people would be practicing infanticide, female infanticide. Okay, na? While the female child was born, they were killed. Okay, na? And the mother was said to be biologically responsible for giving birth to the female child and not a male child. Earlier, the notion was that the male child born will be the bread earner of the family. He will be the breadwinner of the family. Earlier, many years ago, that was the notion in so many backward areas of the world. But when we look biologically, who is responsible for the gender of the child? It's the
Father.
father.
That is father.
Okay, so that's it for today. Others can leave the class. Roni will be staying for a while.
Bye, sir.
Yes, bye.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.